Polish your piece. Masterpiece, then write a masterpiece. Deep breath and release. So all you need is depth, breath, and belief to polish your piece. Ladies and gentlemen, family, welcome to Polish Your Piece. Writers, readers, and in-betweeners, we got a good one for you today.
We sure do, bro.
It's your boy D to the E to the V, and I got with me D.A. Truth, D.A. Poet. What up?
What up, good people? You know who it is. We in this building together once again for another episode, man. Feeling good, feeling great. You know what I'm saying?
Look, we got an OG guest today. But before we get into that, let's let everybody know what the ground rules is to keep the community right.
Yes,
so tell us the first rule.
Well, y'all know what it is. The number one rule is always love. When we have love, we have everything great, no hate. You know, we keep it short and simple, just like that. Short, simple, and sweet, right?
There we go. All right, well, cool. Listen, rule number 2 is this is not a community if y'all don't participate.
That part.
All right. So get in the comments, reshare it, get on all the social media, holla at us, tell us how you feel. We hope that we provide you with something unique. We hope that we provide you with information. We have learned some things. Personally, I learned some things. Truth knew them already. She had to teach me.
We learn from each other.
Okay, she learned it, then she taught me. You know what I'm saying? We are about to get more and more dialed in to providing value. We're going to get more into the writing pieces. Some of the story in the background of your favorite writers will come out, but more importantly, we're going to provide you with some of their tips and tricks. So y'all stay tuned and y'all use this episode as a marker for when Polish Your Piece podcast change. Truth.
Yeah, what's up?
Tell us who the OG guest is for the day.
Look, y'all, the OG guest for the day, I'm super excited that we got him with us right now. You know what I'm saying?
Tell the truth.
I'm telling you, as a youth artist, I've looked up to this guy. You know what I'm saying? He has been a staple in the Baltimore community. He's a Baltimore legend, but not only is this man a Baltimore legend, he's a Philly legend, right? And he's a Poet-Emcee. You know what I mean? He's different from these other poets out here. Poet-Emcee, right? Curator of events. You know, y'all heard of the Art of Conversation. I'm pretty sure our followers have heard. If you're from the Baltimore area, and apparently Philly and DC, and you know all these New York.
Just tear the East Coast up.
He just tore it up. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, author. He's an educator, dean of students, might I add. You know what I'm saying? So he's adding education and affiliation to the arts to our pupils out here who need us, who need our creatives in the community. And as a black man, you know, I think that's very essential and important. But among all of those things, he is a great person. And I'm glad to have Ethepoetemcee right here with us on the pod. Yeah, let's welcome him in. What's up?
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. What's going on, family?
Ain't nothing. How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
I feel good. I feel real good. I'm honored to be here with, you two giants in our community. You know what I mean? Truth, my man Dev. I'm ready to go.
All right, that's what's up.
There we go. You're far too kind.
I know, giant. Feel good.
It's not too often that I get to really talk to people I admire, respect, and I view them as mentors. And in my line of work, normally I feel like it's not a good feeling. I shouldn't say this, but I always feel like I'm the mentor. You know what I'm saying? And I feel great when we get to do this or we checking out somebody and it's not an equal of mine. It's not a new person I met, but it's a mentor and I get to be the mentee.
Right.
So I'm excited about this interview, right? Because I know I'm going to learn something.
Well, don't we always?
What?
It's not a time I've ran into Eat a Poet and I haven't learned something I haven't taken in a gym. Or even just been like, okay, I need to get back in the lab again. This man is essential. Okay, so you ready to get this thing started, bro? What we got as the first question for our man right now?
All right, well, so look, right? We're gonna get right into it. All right. We normally ask all of our guests, what is their superpower, right, within writing? But we know E so well. We had his superpower pegged. Like when I called him in pre-production to get ready for this, I said, "Hey man, we're gonna ask you some questions about storytelling." And he said, "Yeah, that's me." You know that's me. So I'm so excited. You know, we hope that you all pick up some key things. E is going to be performing at Polish Your Piece May the 23rd,
y'all make sure
7
y'all
p.m.
Come out.
He's going to teach y'all about this here storytelling on this pod and probably at that event. And we're going to give y'all a chance to do it. But I want to ask you, why is it so important to tell stories in your writing? Why is that so important to you, E?
Well, for me, I look at what I do as part of a continuum of Black oral tradition. So when we get into just our history, not just here in the States, going back to, indigenous cultures and, on the African continent, the griot was that one that between the different villages and the different communities, they carried the story. You know what I'm saying? So when I get on the stage, when I write a piece of people in an audience for me to perform, I feel like I have to deliver a story as a continuation of what already came before, to give context to what's happening now and give a little insight to the future. So I feel it's my job as a griot to be an excellent storyteller.
So did you always have this insight of that concept of the griot, or was that something you've learned along the way? You know what I mean? A concept of yours you learned along the way.
Yeah. I learned. I think that like if you just listen to your initial inspirations, you're always going back. Because like even when you write a piece, you're tapping into something that's beyond yourself. If you understand what you're actually doing. So sometimes, like some of the best writers, if you go back, you're like, yo, I wrote that? That's crazy. Like, yo, I was like, seriously, because sometimes we'll get into what we call a writer's block because we're competing with something that we already had written. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't as dope as that. You know what I mean? Because so we're always like studying, like, why did I do this? Why am I doing this? And after you watch it through the years, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I even read or heard about the concept of a griot. Okay. And when I read that, I'm like, yo, this is what I've been doing. This is what most of us are trying to do. I thought I was just hearing something that Slick Rick did in the 80s, and I'm trying to, I'm going to write like Slick Rick. But then when you realize Slick Rick is doing something beyond what Slick Rick thinks he's doing. Right. And then when you look at what preceded him, he said, well, I was looking at Gil Scott-Heron. So who was Gil Scott-Heron looking at? Who was so-and-so looking at? They always look back. And you realize that, wait a minute, this is something that Black people just been doing. Because when you do the research on what a griot is, which is actually a French word, the West African word for it is jelly. That's the person that a comedian was a jelly, a storyteller, a poet, a news reporter. So those of us who do it at its highest level, we're all those things at the same time. You show me somebody that's a great poet as a performer, they're very witty in between their pieces. They get the people to laugh. They understand timing. You know what I'm saying? So you find me a great comedian. They have very good insights into current affairs. So it's only in this country that we just start to look at, oh, you're just a funny man, you're just a comedian, oh, you're just a rapper, oh, you're just a singer, you're just a that. But, because that's just commodification of the art form. But you look beyond that, Dave Chappelle is a genius.
Right.
He's not just telling jokes.
Right.
He's giving you insight into the world as you know it. He has perspective. The best MCs, Nas has perspective. Yeah. Kendrick Lamar is telling you some things about the vulnerable states of Black male psychology when he's writing. He's not just writing raps. You know what I'm saying? Right. Rhapsody is not just rapping. She has insight. So, so to answer that question, I had to go back and realize that I was being a griot. So I had to become more intentional once I was more informed about what I was actually a part of.
So that leads me to this, right? You ever know how you play pool, somebody can get on there and hit the balls real hard until they fall
Right.
into the holes or whatever
Right.
like that. But it's a
Right.
difference when you start learning that sweet science
Right.
and you start learning
Exactly.
those angles. So
Yeah.
tell me, how did your work become better after you learned about what a griot was? Because I'm sure you was already nice. Like, I think I
Right.
probably known you like 15 years by now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I probably was around shortly after you got to this griot part. How did
Yeah.
how did you grow nicer once you learned the science or even the internal connection to that? How did that
Right.
inform your work?
Well, you start studying better griots. You know what I'm saying? You have to you look at the best to be the best, and you start trying to deconstruct what they're doing. Like, what did he actually do here? What did she actually do here? You know, and you come up with your own theories of what they're doing. I'll give you an example. One of those that I study, any MC that's from my era, like I started rapping, well, I've been rapping since the first rap record, so that's how old I am, but that's like 1970, 1979. As soon as the first rap record came out, you tried to do that thing. But at one point in 1986, an MC appeared and he had a whole different rhyme structure and an approach to MCing that just didn't exist before. And everybody was scratching their head. Those that came before him, those that were his contemporaries, and those that came after him, they just started looking at this guy like Rakim, right? Like, what is he doing? And anybody that studies MCing, they'll say that what we know commonly as flow today is something that he created. So many of us had our theories of how, and when I mean flow, is that he created this, his approach to internal rhyme scheme and picking up rhyme on the next line. You know, most rappers rap like da 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 da. So boom, that's just what that is. So he would say something like, "I was a fiend." So right now he took up a whole bar just to say one word, right? So he created different ruptures that didn't exist. I was a fiend before I became a teen, was melting microphones before cones of ice cream, music orientated. So he rushed something at that end part to go to the next line. You see what he did there?
Yeah.
I was a fiend before I became a teen, was melting microphones before cones of ice cream, music orientated was when hip hop was originated, fitted like pieces of puzzles, complicated. Nobody rapped like that. What is he doing?
Right.
It wasn't like, I'm the coolest in the place to be, and da. Everybody rapped like that.
Right,
So when he did that, he created ruptures in rhyme structure. So everybody that preceded him, I mean, that came after him or was his contemporary, had to change how they rap, just so they don't seem outdated. So everybody started picking out different pockets of how to rhyme within 4 beats to the measure. Right? How to utilize your voice, because everybody talks different. So everybody had to create different cadences. If you study MCing up to that point, the top MCs were like a Run or LL Cool J. After 1986, you get everybody's doing different things. Nobody could rhyme the same no more. So KRS One doesn't sound like Big Daddy Kane. Nobody sounded alike. You couldn't approach rapping the same way after Rakim came. So having said that, how do you start to study? You got to start deconstructing. Like, you don't just listen to rap. You got to like, what did I just hear? What's making this rap so special? And you come up with your theories.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not.
Okay.
So you just spoke on flow, right?
Right.
What are some literary devices that you use to enhance your story?
My main thing is unpredictable. Where it's going to rhyme at is going to be unpredictable, right? And even when you predict it, because my style comes off very simple. And if you, but if you try to do it, you'll realize it's not as simple as it seems. I make it look real easy, but you can't do it.
Right.
You can't do it. The best MCs, the ones that I study, makes rhyming, they make it seem effortless. It seems like they're just talking. I have a conversational flow. So the way that I talk is the way that I rhyme. The best MCs that do that are like a Rakim, a Jay-Z. They rap like they talk. All they do is project their voice. And you'll think they're doing something very simple until you try to do it. Right? So if you try to do it, you be like, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't realize that part rhymed with that part. Oh, wait a minute. That part. And the main thing that I use, so rhyme is my main thing. But one part of rhyming that I use that the masters use, and this is a jewel.
Tap in.
Poet-Emcee.
You know about alliteration, right?
Yeah.
This is when the consonant sounds, they kind of repeat themselves. Right? But very few people really study the signs of assonance. Right? Assonance are the vowel sounds that rhyme. Right? So you
about to get so educated on here.
Right. So it's when sometimes words don't necessarily rhyme, but the vowel sounds rhyme. Right? Now, some people could overdo it. It's about using it sparingly enough that it doesn't seem so obvious that you're doing it.
Let's go.
Because if you overdo it, it's like I always use, when I rhyme, I think about basketball.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're sitting in front of your opponent and you just keep dribbling.
Too much dribbling.
It's too much.
You gotta score.
Exactly. But
my bad.
The point is to make a point.
Yeah.
The point is to make a point.
Yeah.
Right. Now, a point, on your way to making a point, if you do a slick crossover real quick and then shoot the point, everybody's amazed. But if you dribbling it behind your back, doing Harlem Globetrotter stuff, after a while, people are like, yo, get to the point.
Right. That part.
Right. So a lot of people who pride themselves in being bar heavy or real slick and all this kind of stuff, they're doing too much. They take away from their story and they take away from the point of what you're talking about.
Let's go.
So my thing is when I do, and the thing is, another thing that got to be mentioned is how much modern poets borrow from MCs, but don't give credit to that. You know what I mean? Because in poetry, someone says something real slick, we yell out bars. We don't yell out stanzas.
Right.
Come on.
Right? We yell out bars. Bars is a musical
I'm about
term.
to start yelling stanzas, just by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's dope. I remember when somebody said that. Like stanza, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'd rather people do that. Because if you're going to yell out bars, then you're admitting that the highest form of poetry is emceeing. That's the highest form of poetry.
Wow.
So if you're going to approach it with MC things, then you got to master certain things about the MC arts. You know what I mean? You got to master syllable count. You got to master, you know what I mean? It's a lot of things you got to master. You know what I mean? You won't be so monologue heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like modern poets, a lot of so-called spoken word artists, that to me it's a lot of monologue. It's not a lot of writing technique. You know what I mean?
And so what do you mean by monologue and writing technique? Break that down so they understand the difference of what you're saying by that.
All right. So I'm sitting in a room. I'm on the phone right now, and I'm thinking about my mother and how she used to pack me in at night and da 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 da. Blah, blah. That's a monologue.
Yes.
Right. So poetic device is, how do I say that same thing? Right. That it carries a story, but I'm still utilizing, because a few years ago, I see it's lessened a lot. A few years ago, a great debate was poems that rhyme, right? was considered almost a lesser form of poetry. And I used to say that people who consider rhyme in poetry a lesser form of poetry is because they can't do it without sounding dog, cat, and hat.
Right.
It's a high level of intelligence to write within a structure. We gotta think about this for a second. You're talking about emceeing, right? If you have to write within a beat structure, be on beat, right?
Yeah.
Within this format, get your ideas out. Say something poignant. Carry a story, rhyme structure, syllable count, right within this structure. If I throw in a beat right now, could you tell me a story within this beat?
Can you find 8 words that rhyme and match subject topic,
make sense, and be powerful,
and be in the same amount of syllables?
Right.
Or you had to put 3 words together to continue with one.
You know, that's why I'm not.
So that's a high form of poetic ability to do that. Now the thing is, the downside, because this is why I call myself either Poet-Emcee, right? It's a hyphenated word. I'm telling you, I'm an MC. I'm telling you what kind of MC I am. I am a Poet-Emcee, right? Because MCing has gone through a lot of different aspects. The first rule of MC is just moving the crowd, right? So initially MCs, you put on a beat, and the thing was the music was moving the crowd. You're just keeping up with the beat. That's why you can get on the mic and go a hip hop, a hibbity, a hibbity, a hip hop, and people are moving with you like you're rocking the crowd, right?
Right.
But a higher form of MCing, we've grown to now. I'm gonna tell you a story and rock the crowd. I'm gonna deconstruct societal ills and rock a crowd. This is the highest level of MCing. So to be able to be poetically sound and rock the house, right?
Yes.
Wow.
So I represent the cyclical nature of both the performance poet that predated the MC, and as well as the continuation of MCing within the performance poetry realm. That's what I do.
Now we can't get. I don't want to get too far away. There was a gem that was close. You almost dropped it.
Oh, my bad.
We got so far away. Now everybody talks about the consonants, and you was about to tell us about the assonants.
It was same page.
Assonants, right? So it's like I'll give you an example. Like I got a poem where I would say, here's the story. Peep the gory sequence. It ends in divorce, but begins the victorious secrets, right? In that, the main rhyme is the or.
Right. Gotcha.
Right? Now, the fact that I said it effortlessly like that, I didn't put an emphasis on the fact that I'm rhyming, but the story carried itself, right? Because I use assonance was the main aspect of that rhyme. Peep the story. Here's the story. Peep the gory sequence. It ends in divorce, begins in Victoria, secrets. So secrets and sequence rhyme, but it's that the internal parts of that is the or sound.
Got it.
That's assonance.
Teaching moment. I hope all of y'all poets and writers have seen assonance and are ready to implement that into your writing style.
But now also, right? Now this is where I get crazy with it.
Okay, let's go.
Because he's elevating my level of podstry right now. Right? I just made that up. Podstry.
You're the man. That's
your podstry has been elevated.
So now here he go, right? Now this is the key now this is when he say, I'm doing this effortlessly, right? Now, as you listen to that, right? Everybody loves, as we rhyme, to think about the vowels.
Right.
But now think about the other letters, right? Because what made that fly was all his manipulations of S.
That part too.
Right? So you put S with the T, now that's story.
Right.
You put S after U, that's us. You put Q. Q is a S sound, even though it is a Q. Quince. C is a S sound. So now you done use 4 or 5 letters for the sound of S.
Right.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
The story, sequence, Torious.
Yeah, it's a whole lot going on. Whole lot
Secret.
going
Now,
on.
now let me say this. And this is the part that's going to mess you up even more, right? And this is what I call the Kobe Bryant effect. And to answer your question
Yeah.
earlier, Truth, when you said like a parent, when did you realize you were doing the griot thing and what have you?
Right.
Most of what I just said in terms of understanding that I utilize that the assonance and what you just brought out with the ST sounds. Both of those things are things that I didn't consciously do when I was writing it.
Yes.
Just
I
happened.
went back and realized that I did it. And that's what I call the Kobe Bryant effect, wherein most of Kobe's time was put into the practicing of his craft, so that when it comes game time, he's not, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. No, he's just responding. All his training and all his practice shows up on the court. So if you step to him this way, he's going to automatically just move a certain kind of way because he's responding to muscle memory. He's already practiced this like 1,000 times. So while you
Right.
sleeping and partying or whatever, he's practicing. He's going through his fundamentals. So likewise, when it comes to craft, it's like the best craftsmen don't necessarily sit down like, yeah, I'm gonna make all these parts right here rhyme, then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do that. No, they're just being a conduit to the idea that's in their head. Because I was writing to tell a story, and that's how the story came out. And when you're doing something slick, with me, I freestyle the first two lines of everything that I write, and I keep doing that until I say something slick. Then I'm like, yo, that's slick. Then I'll just repeat
Okay.
what I said slick until the next slick line comes. And then after that,
Gotcha.
the piece typically writes itself.
Gotcha.
So I don't spend a lot of time. I don't go back and edit. Yeah, I don't do
Don't
none of that.
edit.
I don't edit. I write a
Time
piece.
out.
Woo.
I
Time
write
out,
it
yo.
when it's coming, it's coming. If it ain't fly, you know what I mean? The closest I get to editing, it's like I'll write something. If the first part of that is dope, and then I feel like I'm forced to the next two lines, I put the pen down and I'll come back to it another time until I'm in a slick mood. Like, so
Yo. You mean to tell me you that nice to the point where yo, you don't edit? Yo, I've heard you spit many poems before, yo, and none of them edited. That's wild.
that's craftsmanship. But you
And
gotta
that's
that's
go
craftsmanship. And the
ahead.
thing
Go
is,
ahead.
you get to that. You know what I mean? You get to that level of writing. And you write a lot of stuff that ain't that dope. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta be okay with that. You gotta know what your writing level is. So that's years of just writing. Then I'm like, yo, I think I'm on that level. You know what I'm saying? And but it's practicing the craft. I can't put it no other way than that. It's practicing the craft that
So,
it comes that way.
all right, so look, you just reached our first segment of the day. We got these standing segments that we may or may not do in any episode. We only go to them if the writer that we talking to hits them, right? A lot of time, this one is called Yeah, But Why?
Okay.
Uh, So, yeah, but why? So you gotta practice your craft, right? They talk about the Kobe effect. He in the gym for big hours. He doing this so he can respond instead of react. Yeah, we get it, but why? But how? Like, right? So are you like get into process, like for adding value to people? Are you writing for 15 minutes every day? Are you, or especially as you was creating, as you was getting to who you are now, what is the process? Like when you say working on the craft, you even say studying the griots before you, what actually do you mean by that? Give me the step by step.
Especially to get to the point where you're not even editing people. You feel like you ain't even gotta write it down. You just will edit anything. You just gone with it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, no, I'm writing it down. Definitely writing it down. The thing is this. It's like, because don't forget, like, so I'm 52, right? I'll be 53 this year. So the process that I'm using started when I'm like 10, 11 years old, right? So the beginning of those processes is I heard something that was dope, and I'm like, yo, I want to be able to do that, right? Because you got to think about it. When you're a kid and you hear Rapper's Delight, and a lot of my homeboys will tell you the same thing. A lot of people tell you the same thing. When they first heard Rapper's Delight, which is the first official rap record, you didn't know whether they wrote this down or they just made it up as they went along, right? So most of us tried different variations of that, where it's like you just turned the record over because it's an instrumental, and you just try to talk. You just try to figure out how they did it. So part of my process from 11 years old to 52 is you're ingesting the art form. I sit around, I watch documentaries all day. This is just what I do in my leisure time. I'm listening to music because the poets that inspire me are MCs. MCs make me push my pen. And there's certain spoken word artists that make me push my pen. Like I'll go to Obi West. I go to his page and listen to him do shit. And I'm listening like, oh shit, damn, okay, that rhyme structure, that's crazy. Oh damn, he rhymed. Oh damn, okay. It's a lot of oh damn listening to Obi West. There's a lot of that in his writing approach.
Shout out to Obi.
Amir Suleiman, K Love, Black Chakra, The Truth. Like these are certain people. I'll just go to their page and listen to them write something. And my mind, the way my mind works is, what are they doing? She can't. Word truth. That's what you're gonna do. Well, all right, okay, I see what you're doing. That's crazy. That's crazy. You even did that right there. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And you just ingesting it. You know what I mean? I'll go listen to some of my original inspiration, some Rakim, some Jay-Z, or some. I'm always ingesting stuff, right? I'm ingesting other people using technique, right? Then I'm watching documentaries. I'm watching the news. You know what I mean? I'm living life. I'm working with 11 and 12-year-olds who have interpersonal relationships, trying to always fight every time they get into an argument. I'm meeting with 6th grade girls, like, she popped her neck at me, so I want to slice her face. You know what I mean? This is my life. So all of these things, I'm like, yo, I want to write a poem to talk to these young girls. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just because she popped her neck don't mean you need to slice her face. Right? That's the first thought that came to me. I'm like, yo, that's slick. And I just said that because I'm talking to y'all now. So I will write that down. Right. Just because she popped her neck don't mean you got to slice her face. And I realized I just said something slick. So let me write that down. You know what I mean? And I'll think, am I going to rhyme with face? Slice her face? You know what I mean? Might replace, I'll think about different things. So like, what would be an accompanying line to go with that? Just because she pop her neck, I mean, you got to slice her face. Sometimes I need to sit down and talk in the first place, or something. I'll just come up with something until now that's cool, but that ain't slick. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to get to the root of the problem in the first place. Okay, that's slicker. You know what I mean? Just because she pop her neck, I mean, you got to slice her face. Maybe you need to get to the root of the problem in the first place. All right, so I'll write that. Then I realized, like, that's one syllable too much to make that flow succinctly. Yeah. I can already tell that's one syllable too much. But I do like that idea in the first place. So I'm going to write down what I just said, and I may walk around for like an hour or so and keep revisiting that line. You know what I mean? Now, in fact, I'm talking to y'all, this would interrupt my flow, but this is giving you an idea of what I would do, right? And I will walk around for the next couple of hours just reciting them 2 lines until I come up with a slicker way to say that. But I know that first line is slick. So maybe I might make that the punchline. You know what I'm saying? Just because she popped her neck, you got to slice her face. Because if I make that the punchline, that's going to get the people to go, So maybe I need to come up with a line before that to make that the punchline. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I would call my thesis statement. Right? Yeah. So I will work on them first 2 lines till I got like that's tight. right? And then when I got them two
Gotcha.
lines, I'll just be reciting that until the next line make its appearance. And while I'm
So
thinking about that, I'm thinking about ultimately what I want to say, and I want to think about how I want this plane to land at the end.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what all
Right.
right. So I love what you're saying. Now that I'm hearing it, I'm not. I wouldn't say you're not editing. You are auto correcting though before you write.
As you
You
go.
auto correcting before you write, and your editing process is taking place in your heart and in your mind before you ever pen it to paper. So by the time you put it down, it's already complete.
So what I wanted to compare you to was an MC anyway, because a lot of those MCs who get in the booth, they listen and go over and over and over again their lines, like, you know what I'm saying, and they just drop it. You know what I'm saying? They edit it as they rap. So like when you hear Lil Wayne say, "I ain't never put a pen
Right,
down,"
right,
or Jay-Z, "I don't write my stuff. I'm in the booth as I go," like you said, succinctly
right,
with my thoughts, creating, you know what
right.
I mean, and
Yeah.
making it slip.
But
So
here's the
you
other
got that
part of that.
MC element to that.
Right. But here's the thing with most MCs, like once they, and the thing is, people have been hearing Jay-Z say this for years, and I'm hearing very clearly what he's saying. But I'm getting a lot of what other people are thinking is happening is not even happening. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, maybe you're not hearing what he's saying. I think it goes with what Dev said, like, because when I say I don't edit, I think about when I sit down with other poets, right? And
Mhm.
and they show me what they wrote, and then they go back in with a scalpel and start, oh, I'm gonna make this line, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna da da da. And my thinking is like, well, that's too manicured of a piece. You're starting to tear away at the heart of it. Like every
Mhm.
line ain't supposed to be mm. If it comes out that way, then fine. You know what I'm saying? I think because, like, for instance, there are certain MCs that every other line is a punchline, right? They got all
Right.
these different punchlines, all these different metaphors. But at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, but what are you talking about? What is this
I said
piece
that
about?
about Wayne last time, didn't I?
Right.
Yeah.
Wayne,
Yeah.
like
Lil
Wayne is
Wayne will
dope.
punch you to death.
Yeah, he'll punch you to death, but it's like everything is, you know what I mean? Everything is slick, wordplay. I did that, you know what I mean? Punchline. But it's like, yo, you're not writing about anything. So it's like it's everybody got these different agendas, right? My writing,
Right.
like one of the things that certain pieces, like that piece that I was saying a minute ago, like I have one piece, like the first part just wrote itself, right? And when I say write itself is like what I was just describing in that thing about the girls popping the neck, this, that, and the other. That's a one line,
Mhm.
right? And that's a normal writing process. Sometimes I'll say something and it'll keep going and it won't stop. Like there's a piece I
Right.
do part of this tour now. The first part of that I wrote, like I'm gonna do that for you. It never stopped. It just did this thing when I wrote the first thing because it's like I wrote it like right after my dad died like 2 years ago, right?
Mm.
And I carried half of this poem that never stopped. I never wrote more to it till I got to this book. So the first
Mhm.
part, as soon as he died, I was sitting there like, shout out to my co-author. The reason I write the bite that turned me from a Peter Parker to this wall crawler, my father.
Mhm.
He wrote life and permanent marker. No do over, just overdo it till he overdosed. Copped and coped, now he's till he was comatose. Now he's a ghost. My ghostwriter. He gave me this life. I'm just at the typewriter. What are you writing today, Pop? Main character, Poet-Emcee. He's just a stage prop, right? So all of that just came in one sitting,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Talk
That
that
wasn't,
talk.
yeah, that wasn't me thinking about saying something slick. But it's like, damn, this nigga is a ghost now. You know what I'm saying?
You making
That's
me
the
want to write right now.
yeah, right, yeah. But that's the thing. But the people that I listen to, that's how they write. Like something to hit them, and they think in rhyme. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When you
Right.
focus on when you write so much and you've been focusing on rhyme, da da da. you don't sit down. I don't sit down and think about rhyme structure. You know what I'm saying? I don't think about, oh, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it'll just, I'm like, I'm onto something because now it's like I'm tapped in. Sometimes you just tap in. You know what I mean? And you gotta, that's why I'm against like super duper editing, because like sometimes you just gotta tap in and go with the raw emotion. Sometimes you're gonna write something that ain't gonna make sense to nobody but yourself. You know what I'm saying? But don't take the heart out of your writing just to get snaps and applause and all of that. You're going, you know, when you dope, you're gonna have enough of those pieces. It's like being an MC. You're gonna have your club banger, you're gonna have your chick record, yada yada yada. But sometimes people want to just hear your heart, yo. Like write some real things. And to me, with my personal brand, I think the secret of longevity is that for me, you're gonna get like real thoughts. You're gonna get my real life. You're gonna get where I'm at right now. Like I'm a grandfather now. You know what I mean? I think about that all the time. Like this t-shirt, my ancestors are my ghostwriters. You know what I mean? Like, you know, my father's passing affected me for the past couple of years. And I feel like a lot of things he's been wanting to say, I've been writing a lot of stuff in his voice lately. That's just where I'm at.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that part.
go ahead, Kyle. Got another text coming real quick. Yo, but I'm gonna keep rolling even though through this, man, because one of the other questions that we had was how, and you kind of answered it, but I wanted you to just give a more technical answer or
Okay.
maybe a different scenario.
Okay.
How do you choose in the stories that you write?
I think I choose stories of like, because I realized like in another life, I kind of wanted to be like a preacher. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that.
Where it's like, like in 94, like I retired from being an artist in 1994 to join the nation, right? Nation of Islam, whatever, right? And you know what I mean? Because I'm like, yo, black people out here dying, yo. Like we gotta talk to people, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I joined the nation because like the nation has always been like a place in my life that kept me out the streets, gave me guidance or whatever. So I wanted to join that and, you know, what have you, and be a minister or whatever. And I'm gonna answer your question. So I joined the nation to be a minister, you know, like Minister Farrakhan or whatever. And one of the things that he always had the ability to do is give you an antidote in the midst of him trying to teach you a lesson. You know what I'm saying? He would tell these stories or whatever from his personal life. He would tell very relatable stories. And one of the main things about his relatable stories is that he know that you looking at him like you ain't never been through the things I've been through. You know what I mean? You're a minister, you all clean cut or whatever. You probably don't drink, smoke or whatever. You know what I mean? You ain't got to deal with stuff that I deal with. But he will always tell you a story to make you feel comfortable that, yo, I'm just like you. You know what I'm saying? So storytelling has been the best way to get ideas across. So fast forward, I realized that a lot of things that I really wanted to tell people, the arts make people put down their defenses. If you come like, hey, let me talk to you about Jesus real quick. You got a lot of people like, I'm good on the Jesus talk. I'm good on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? They be like, you know, whatever. But if truth say like, yo, listen to this poem real quick, and you mention the Lord in the poem, all their defenses are down. They just gonna listen to what you saying. You know what I'm saying? So that part. You know what I'm saying? So the stories help carry. I noticed that especially like I'll start a lot of pieces like, so she said, you know what I mean? Or he said, I'll start like right in the middle of a story. You know what I'm saying? And it's like people are engaged when you can tell a well-crafted story. You know what I mean? I tell stories. I have like little caveats and things I say. If I know I'm about to talk about something heavy, I'll say some things before I even get into a poem. Like I got this, you know, the Truth heard me do this a couple times. I did it at her spot, and I think she heard me do it in Philly, where I tell this story about my grandmother. I do this poem in my mother's voice, but it's my great grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother who all happen to be born on the same day, February,
Yes.
February, right? And just like you said, that helps people. I tell a story before I tell the story. So me telling
Right.
that story that I come from a matriarchal family of Black women wisdom, and it's my great grandmother who lived to be 104, my grandmother, my mother. You know what I'm saying? They kind of authored this story. So I'll tell them a story in my mother's voice, and I tell them I'm about to tell them a story in my mother's voice. So I start a story with a story. Then I go into all this wisdom that I've actually acquired from
Stories on stories on stories.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So stories is the best way to get ideas across. If you look in
Now,
your scripture, all you get is parables and help you remember
Facts.
things.
and
You remember the
illustrations.
parables. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So question for that, question for
Yeah.
this, to break down the stories. When other people are trying to tackle stories, what are like 3 big key elements that you say you would need to have or create a successful story? What are some like big keys?
You need, number one, you need a storyline. Just like if you write a short story,
Mm-hmm.
right? You gotta
Mm-hmm.
you gotta give them elements of the plot and the scenery. Because all storytelling is the same. If you shot a
Mm-hmm.
music video, they would tell you have to establish where you are. So you start with like a wide shot of somebody next to their car that's next to a club, if that's what you're going to do, or you're next to this building. You know, you get your wide shot, you get your close ups, you know what I mean? You get your main characters, you know what I mean? But the most important thing about a story is make sure, think about what you actually want to tell them. What is the story going to be about? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, think about your beginning, your middle, and your end. You know what I'm saying? What different things the main thing I love to put in a story are things um that lets you know, that establishes a scene. Like in that poem, I say my mother kept a Bible and a Quran on her dresser, right in front of her mirror, so her image could address her. She used to teach to my reflection whenever I entered her room. Never stop doing her hair, but a drop of jewel, there's always room. She said a woman's hair is a crown and glory. How she keeps it is a secret, but it always tells a story. Now, right now, you're picturing my mother sitting at her dresser, looking in her mirror,
Right.
talking to her son with a Bible and a Quran on her dresser. So right there, the divisions that's between religions have just come down.
Mm.
That
Right.
I'm a young Black boy in the hood getting wisdom from his mother who actually had a Bible and a Quran on her dresser, which is
Mm.
actually a true story, by the way. My mother had a Bible and a Quran on her dresser. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like I'm establishing scenery. I just put
Yes.
a thought in your head. I taught you something even before I went in to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you something about the quality of this character that I'm talking to you about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn, what kind of woman got different books of scripture on her dresser and taking time? Like I said, she would never stop doing her hair, but to drop a jewel, there's always room. So that means you're talking about a woman that's attentive
Mm-hmm.
to a child coming into a room. So I'm giving you the quality of my mother, how wise she was.
Right.
So I'm setting it up in your head that whatever she about to say after this is about to be some jewels because this is a well-dimensioned woman. All that is in one story. So think about details. It's the details, those nuanced things in a story that it's like, wow, he even said that. She even said that. If you don't have those elements in the story, you haven't really told a great story yet.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there we go. There we
Yeah,
Yeah.
go.
I
So,
love that. All right,
yeah.
so when we talk about stories being your thing, man, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, first off, you dropped the album, Stand and Deliver, the story
Yeah.
of a hustler's culture.
Yeah.
Then you got records, life story,
Yeah.
true story,
Yeah.
origin story,
Yeah.
the poem, my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I don't think you dropped a record where you didn't have something that was the bio, where
Yeah.
you didn't title at least if it wasn't the whole chapter 53.
I was just about to
Right.
say that.
Chapter
Chapter
Yeah.
53 is the story element, right?
So
Right.
it's not one project you put out. All this is going to be free, by the way. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, y'all need to get on iTunes, get on wherever you listen to the music, and check out the Poet-Emcee.
Yeah.
You know,
Do that right now, by the way.
go ahead.
Right now.
Every album you put out, you had something specific to
Well,
storytelling. Was one of those things.
right. Well, actually, I mean, because when you realize what you're doing, you know, being part of this poetry thing that we're doing or whatever, we're all telling one story. It's all one story. That's why this new book is called Chapter 53. Because I'm realizing that I've been telling one story the whole time. Because somebody, here's the thing, like somebody had to bring to my attention in 2011, I did a show in Baltimore called The Hustler of Culture, right?
Yeah,
It's called
I was
Hustler of
there. I was
Culture, right?
good.
Yeah, boom. I did that, and somebody had to bring to my attention that I used the term hustler culture on that CD that you said. That album came out in 2002. So I thought I was using hustler culture for the first time in 2011. They said, "Oh, you bringing the hustler culture thing back?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I didn't realize that, oh, I've already used this phrase before. And the reason why I use that phrase is because of uh, a 1990 song that came out, Public Enemy, Welcome to the Terror Dome. Chuck D just said in there, hustler of culture. He didn't define what he meant by it or anything of that nature. He just said it. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, yo, I'm a hustler of culture. Because I was in that in-between space of coming out of a lot of street stuff, coming into Afrocentric culture thing. I said, yeah, that's me, yo. I'm a hustler of culture now. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hustler still, but I'm a hustler of culture now. So that I've always been telling that same story. And like even with this project here, when I get on the stage, I'm letting people know that even you right now, you're a part of a story. You know what I'm saying? You look like your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles for a reason. You're a continuation of a story. We're all storytellers. You know what I'm saying? In your actions and everything, not just with the arts. You're a storyteller. You're part of a story. You're a link in a chain. You're a chapter in a story. You know what I mean? When we get when we talk about scripture by definition means part of a bigger book. These are parts of a bigger book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like all scriptures have one source. You know what I'm saying? We all have one source. So you're not, you know, it's very arrogant for us to arrogate to ourselves that our lives are not connected to what came before us and what's coming after us. So you're part of a story. You know what I mean? So how well you can analyze the story before you is how we can analyze your part in the story now.
It's crazy, right? My daughter, we was in the car driving, and Corey, who normally helps shoot these pods, Corey rolled up and was like, we was driving, and the lady was like in her car, and she was like, "Do y'all realize that right now we looking at this lady and like, okay, I'm the main character of what's happening right now." But in her mind, she the main character of the thing that's happening. We're a random truck beside her, like she a random car beside
Exactly.
us. Man, that was so deep for somebody 14 to just come out and bust out and say. And like the next day, I heard somebody on social media was like, you know, growing up is realizing in the story, are you the main character? Are you in somebody else's story? Are you an extra? And then I think not too long after that, Dave Chappelle had dropped that and said the same thing about the story. Like learn when
I saw
you
that.
finish your dream or whatever like that. Like, so
Yeah.
this is dope for that reason of what you was just mentioning.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized that
Monumental.
personally, I think about that when I'm on a stage. When I think about, I've seen people on a stage, and because I'm somebody who, in my life journey, I've had the opportunity to meet my heroes. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had the opportunity to sit down with Chuck D, a Public Enemy, and tell him like, yo, like what y'all represented, what y'all did for me as a teenager. You know what I mean? This is the part that you represented in my life. And he's like, oh, wow, okay. That's, they were just doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? They had no intention. They had some intention. When Public Enemy first came out in one of their first interviews in 1986, they said, we want to produce 50,000 Black leaders from our music. That's what they said in 86. But they were, he said we were just young. We just said something slick. But the thing is, they've actually done that because the role that they played in somebody else's story. So I don't take it for granted that, I would just pop back up on an open mic in the late 90s, early 2000s, just to do a poem. But some people were in that audience like, yo, you went up there, you said that, and that changed my life and made me want to go in this direction. So I don't take it for granted. Like this little bit of time I'm on a mic, I'm going to tell a story that's going to impact somebody's spirit. You know what I'm saying? I don't take that lightly. None of us should take that lightly.
Right.
I'm with you. I'm in agreement with you.
You need to go back out, Kyle? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, none of the batteries are charged in the equipment. So this point, I tapped out to see this other option.
All right, well, push comes to shove, all fails, we're gonna be using Zoom.
Right.
Cool.
All right.
So I'm gonna give you another question to go on real quick.
Okay, cool.
Man, break this down for me, man. Tell me why you got to this place where you was at, where you decided that you had to say, Jay did his thing with that 444, but we need 44 more. 44 plus 4, that's about 44 more. Talk to me.
So I wrote this joint called 44 More, right? And when I finished it, something made me want to just count the bars of that, right? So it's like I think it was like 48 bars that I wrote. After I did it, I counted it, and I said 44 plus 4 more. That's my 44 more, right? So it's two things that I did there. That's how I ended that whole joint. I realized, oh shit, this was 48 bars. I said, the slick if it was 44 bars. So I said it was 44 plus 4 more. That's my 44 more. So that whole piece is 48 bars. But what I was writing is, it was talking about the accountability in hip hop, right? And one of the things that I think at that time, I forgot how old I was when I wrote that. I think I may have been 44, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, it was I was talking about, like, Jay did his thing with that 444. And the thing about it was, like, yo, I love that album. It's very introspective. And I'm glad he wrote that, right? But I was charging my generation with the condition of where the youth find themselves. Because a lot of times we like, yo, the young people out here, they wild and they crazy, this, that, and the other. But I was talking about, like, hip hop, we have to take accountability for what we put in music. Ideas that we've glamorized. Inadvertently sometimes, and sometimes we were aware that we were doing it. And what I call the crack rap scenario, in the sense that sometimes somebody who didn't find mental anguish in selling a narcotic that destroyed families, right? I knew a lot of dudes that sold a lot of drugs and did a lot of crime from my era. You know what I'm saying? And I know very few people who stopped selling drugs because it was wrong. I know more people who stopped selling drugs because it was dangerous for them to do. They didn't stop because it was wrong. They stopped because they didn't want to be killed or go to jail. If you go back and look a lot of interviews, a lot of dudes that made transition from the streets to the music, they just say that it was stressful and I wanted to get about the streets and get into something that wasn't going to get me killed, right? And that ethos of not really finding discomfort and destroying our community, they didn't have no problem with taking that same subject matter into hip hop and making it sound cool to somebody who never experienced them street things, right?
Right.
So my thing is, there's an accountability for how the proliferation of street culture made its way into hip hop and made it like a movie, made it sexy.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're a writer, you know how to write. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so my
right.
thing is like, yeah, you know what I mean? And again, being the same age as Jay-Z, maybe like I'm like 2 years younger than Jay-Z, right? As an adult, like he, you know, Reasonable Doubt came out when he was 26, right? So somebody from the environment that he came from, I'm listening to it. I hear the vulnerability. I hear him dropping lessons in it that were usable lessons. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I knew there were younger cats who are not hearing them lessons. They're hearing like, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm still spending money from 88. You know what I'm saying? It's slick.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm still
They missing
spending.
it.
Yeah, they missing it. But he, you know, he do drop the joints like gotta learn to live with regrets and all of these things. So my thing was like, yeah, Jay did his thing with 444, but the current state of the folk gonna need 44 more. There's no statute of limitations on creating statues for imitations in environments. You on tour, people are dying from it, trying to climb the steep hill of Meek Mills and all this crime shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of nuance there, but it's like, you know what I mean? You know, we're still making impressions in these hoods. Not that it's your responsibility totally, but we got to take accountability for making some of that street culture stuff still look sexy to this day. You know what I mean? That's what the answer to that question. That's why I wrote that. Like we got to take a little bit more accountability for the state of things because of rapping.
That's what's up.
Word.
That's what's powerful though. That's what's powerful. So you got a lot going on, man. You on tour right now, right? You just dropped a book. The apparel, that's new, right?
Yeah, the apparel is new.
So tell me, what's this journey right now? What is this new journey? Like you said, you took this break for 2 years. You're back on this new journey. Break down the book, chapter 53. What wealth of knowledge are you spreading? What stories are you telling? What can they get from, where you're at in this season?
Right now, this is I'm in what I'm calling my living workshop season. Right? Because I teach as I go along. I teach as I learn, right? So this is going back to that thing, we were talking, I don't know if we was on camera, off camera, but I was talking about the struggle with management, right?
Yeah.
I find right now there's a lot of like spoken word performance poetry right now to me is more popular than it's ever been in the sense of opportunities, award shows, like, we doing things. You know what I mean? Cats is looking at Grammys. You know what I mean? Spoken word is poised to do a lot of things. And I'm always in artists' ear about minding their business. You got to mind your business. You know what I'm saying? We gotta everything like we're in a like and views culture right now that don't necessarily equal dollar and cents.
Say right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like for the culture, what I'm trying to do with chapter 53 is, because I know a lot of people are watching how I move. You know what I'm saying? And I'm watching how everybody else move. I'm watching how Truth move. I'm studying you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. Where Truth at? All right. She doing that? Okay. Yeah, all right. Boom, boom, boom. All right, where's Chakra at? Okay, that's what they doing. Okay. I'm studying y'all, you know what I'm saying? And minding my business at the same time. And what I mean by that is like, just like we were talking about earlier, every opportunity is not an opportunity for truth. You know what I'm saying? The
Facts.
truth is like, okay, I don't want to perform in that kind of environment. You know what I'm saying? I want to be here. So that's her minding her business. You know what I'm saying? Every artist, don't look at the next man or next woman's plate as like, that's what you should be doing all the time. It's like, okay, you look at how are all of us eating right now off spoken word? You know what I'm saying? Like what are the different ways to eat off what it is that we're doing and serve at the same time? Service is job one. And job two is, how do you eat from your service? You know what I'm saying? Figure out what you want to do first. Don't look at the money first, because every opportunity is not an opportunity for you. It's like the first thing is, job one is the craft. What I'm trying to show with chapter 53 is, job one is your craft. Where are you in your craft? So this shirt, this is an honest, this is how I feel. My ancestors are my ghostwriters. That's how I feel. And I'm thinking that how I feel right now will resonate with other people. Let me put it on a shirt. I'm not sitting back thinking about what can I put on a shirt that's going to make a shirt sell. There's a whole bunch of things that I could put on a shirt to make a shirt sell more than this. But this is me minding my business. Where I'm at right now, I'm in an ancestral place where I'm honoring all those that came before me, and I want to be honored when I'm out of here. So I'm paying respects to the ancestors in this project. If you recognize in this book, there's a lot of talk of where I feel I am in everything that went before me, where I am in the culture now, and where I think the culture is going. I got a lot of pieces about that. I got pieces about spoken word at the Grammys. You know what I mean? I'm about to hit the stage with that soon. I got a lot to talk about that. I got pieces dealing with how I feel about, what does 1 million views on a video mean, and who's
talk about views.
Yeah, and who's getting the lion's share of the money with you having 1 million views on your video?
Ooh, I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, somebody, you know what I mean? Because you may be hyped because you got 1 million views, but somebody else getting more money.
Collecting the coin.
Exactly. You know,
Bruh, they ain't even. Oh man, we gotta have a talk outside of this.
We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Oh gosh, because
that part. So primarily, this is just like year one of the next 20 years for what I'm planning to do with spoken word. You know what I mean? Because I made this proclamation almost like 20 years ago, and people thought, what do you mean? I'm like, yo, like 20 years ago, I decided this is where I want to, you know what I mean? Let me work on my next 20 years. So I'm literally working on what my next 20 years of spoken word is going to look like. So this is year one of, you know, for the next, what I'm be doing for the next 20 years. And it involves because I've done a lot of curating, I've done a lot of hosting, I've done podcasts, I've done radio shows, I've done lecture tours, but primarily most of what I plan to do for this year, 2024, is be on a lot of stages with a lot of poetry, talking to people. That's what this year looks like.
On that note, man, we looking forward to having you on May the 23rd, 7 to 10 p.m. here at MRI Studios. Shout them out for allowing us to use the studio here to shoot our Polish Your Piece podcast. Man, this was lit. I don't even think that's the right word.
this was a wealth of knowledge.
There you go.
This was a wealth of knowledge.
Pour into us.
Yeah, this is man, again, truly an honor, because like you said, you have been, when we talk about that story and where you have been in our story, where you've been in my story, you have been that tree that I've learned from, you know what I mean? The one that I looked up to I knew if my next step was a good step, depending on the steps you've taken. You know,
I appreciate that.
The people We the people following in your footsteps. So,
And
without your imprint on us, like, I don't know.
Sometimes when certain little things happen, sometimes you hold people close because you need them to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it don't matter where people at because you talked enough that you can hear them.
And
you have your own question.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
it's at least 5 to 10 jewels that over the time. I don't think me and E actually ever spent that much time together, but I
We
swear
haven't.
the time that we spent together was so
Absolutely.
impactful that I still remember stuff that he said to me, and it definitely plays a part in, you know what I'm saying, just talking about, hey man, I heard you with them whole sentence rhymes. Like, okay,
Yeah.
people like that.
Yeah.
Keep doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He was the reason why I could cheese while I'm watching poetry, while I was first going to the spots and just being like, okay, I can add flow to my poetry, you know what I mean? And give a little MC style. You was that example, and I was able to follow through with my style and be like, oh yeah, it's cool for me to do this instead of trying to appease what
Right.
quote unquote poetry is
Right.
supposed to be,
Right.
So.
And I just want to say, for y'all go anywhere, man, that I've been consistently, like you said, ain't been a lot of sit down conversations with none of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the way that y'all are receiving me is the same way I've been receiving y'all. And I've been watching, I will continue to watch, and I will continue to learn, you know what I'm saying, from both of you. Because y'all are very extraordinary people, very intelligent people, and very wise the way that y'all been able to maneuver all these years and keep your integrity. That's a feat. There's a lot of people, and y'all know, a lot of people have been doing things as long as y'all been doing things, but their integrity may be in question. They don't know exactly where they are or what they stand for. And the two of y'all been in your integrity bag. So I respect that, and I'm watching that, and I'm learning.
Appreciate that.
That is a big thank you, man.
Hey man, also man, for the last 15 years, yo, you look exactly the same, yo.
That's
So when you leave, what are you doing?
That ain't lie.
These niggas look
Hey,
exactly
man.
the same.
Exactly.
20 years
I
ago.
can't stop.
I'm
His black don't crack. You know what I'm saying?
black cracks if it do crack, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just drop this on you. I'll drop this on y'all, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Somebody told me a long time ago, and I've been living by that. You can choose how you age. If you think that you're supposed to be old and broke down at 34, you're gonna be old and broke down at 34. You know what I'm saying? But if you believe that you're supposed to be very mobile when you're 80, then you would do things to make sure that you're very mobile at 80. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Say that.
So
Yeah.
that part.
Okay. Still just dropping wise like jewels on us, man.
First time I tasted chickpeas was at the Yavapai. It was probably that night. I don't think I've never been to Yavapai before Art of Conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all go check out the Art of Conversation podcast.
Please do.
But you got to sign up. You got to get on that Patreon.
You know, you can watch you can watch the
check it
clips
all out
though.
on YouTube though.
Yeah, watch the clips.
Absolutely.
Boom.
You had my man Bashi on there talking about poetry back in the day.
Yeah, you know that's
That
my
was
spark.
good.
That's
Then
my
you
spark.
had Roscoe.
You know, Bashi was the first time. Yeah, the first poetry open mic I ever went to was in 1993, and Bashi was the host. He turned me on. I never knew about no poetry readings, no open mics, nothing. I didn't know that existed in Baltimore. I was in rap circles. I was a rapper, and we had rap open mics and stuff. Bashi came through one of our, because we used to curate a MC open mic. Bashi came through there. It's like, yo, y'all need to come here. That's what so Bashi was on there because he introduced me to spoken word. I never knew about it.
That's wow.
And he hosted the first poetry open mic I ever went to. So that's my spark, Bashi.
Okay.
Beautiful work.
Beautiful. Yeah. I don't even know about him. So I'm looking forward to finding out.
You would know by the time you see him, you would know him. I mean, he's moving around. He play all type of instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you probably more so something you've listened to that was created in Baltimore. You're like, oh, I like that. Like he probably playing the guitar or the drums or something.
Oh,
Like that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he's a powerhouse. Bashi Rose, look him up.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do my homework and hope all of y'all do your homework too out there listening in.
But look,
Or
anything else you want to tell us? You know, anything else you want to promote? Where can we get the t-shirts at? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, hit me up on the gram for everything, man. Ethepoetemcee, ETHEPOETMC.
easy.
Make sure you book him because he's on tour right now. So if you want him in your city, get litty with him. Get in his DMs and let him know.
Hey.
That's
Amazing on the stage. Amazing on the stage. If you enjoyed this podcast, you definitely gonna enjoy him on the stage, y'all.
Word.
Hey, I meant that. I feel like we need to visit with you every 6 months. So,
I'm with it. I'm with it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Man, you said so much, and I felt like you embodied the true essence of a seasoned writer, where you were able to, when we had a question, you had a very specific answer, even if the answer was, yo, don't do all of that. Like, let the heart of it just be what it is. Because sometimes people, well, actually, you must dissect and cut out every breath from which and count to 10. And if it says 10, you get there. And that's cool. But you was just like, yo, no, don't this part, don't do that.
Don't cut out the heart. And I feel like a lot of artists need to hear that. Especially when we got slam and all of these elements where they are making you, making you edit and making you be so cynical about every line that is in it.
That's why I don't do slams. I don't do slams for that reason.
Get lost.
Yeah, man. I mean, and my hat goes off to like those who are great at it, but it's like it's almost like the same thing with like battle rap. Most people who are great battle rappers never get a chance to see themselves as MCs and as an artist. You know what I'm saying? They usually can't go in the studio and create a body of work that people want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because you're learning to write a certain kind of way. So a lot of slam poets, I would love that slam poetry would be more so centered around, and that's why, you know what I mean, I love the way that you approach it. I love the way the chakra approach it, because it's on brand. It's still a true poem. You're winning being you. You know what I mean? You're not winning.
I need to do slam.
But that's my thing. You could enter a slam and kill with those poems. You know what I'm saying? Because you do what you do. Chakra, he writes a certain kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Whether he's in the slam or not.
He's annihilating people.
Exactly. He's gonna, if he's not on the slam stage, he's writing the same poems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's bringing what he do to the slam world. You know what I mean? It just works for him. You know what I mean? It don't hurt that he calls himself the battle poet. I don't want to be against nobody called the battle poet. I'm not a battle poet. What am I talking about? Hey, he gonna kill you. So
me neither.
But having said that,
if I was a battle poet, I'd be a different type of poet.
Yeah, exactly.
It would change who I was.
Yeah, but that's who Chakra is. Like, he's the comic book wrestling that guy. So it makes sense for him to be the battle. When he told me, I'm gonna call myself the battle poet, I was like, yo, you're a freaking genius for that, because that's who you are. So, and that's the thing about it. He will always be that. Talam Acey, Lamar Hill, these were slam giants because that's who they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not a slam poet. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do a poem by my grandmother. It may not get, and I'd be mad at you for not giving my grandmother 10s across the board. You're not gonna give my grandmother 10s across the board. I hate y'all for that. Exactly. So
Word. Well, look.
Anyway,
this was great. Truth.
Indeed.
Take us out, E. We so appreciative of having you here, man.
Peace.
At the end of the day, just to be honest with you, you didn't have to make time for this. You know what I'm saying? So we are so thankful that you would come and, you know what I'm saying, be involved with our medium and talking with people and to share your gift. Writers, readers, and in between us. Get with truth.
Get with us, y'all. Get with us. It was beautiful. And you know how we end out. I need all of y'all to remember that you all work of art. So continue to work your art to only masterpiece. And we out of here.
That was dope.